Jamie Wheal, the executive director of the Flow Genome Project, which is an organization dedicated to the science and application of neuroscience and optimal psychology. And I am the author of the recent book, Stealing Fire, which is all about the relationship of peak states to transformational culture. Well, I mean, it feels like generally that is kind of the nut to crack of the human condition. You know, we're born monkeys without clothes, and we are sort of been whacked with a stick of self-awareness, and we become aware, unlike most animals that we're aware of, that life begins and someday it ends. And wrestling with that is kind of arguably the human experience. And along the way, it feels like that, that combination of access to our highest and best selves, what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature, and the fact of what Thomas Hobbes observed of life being nasty, brutish, and short. Therein lies Shakespeare, therein lies the Greek tragedies, therein lies all of art and poetry and song and civilization. And so can we get to the better angels of our nature while taking, the slings and arrows of life as it's lived? Yeah, I mean, it seems like, and I don't quite know why this is the case, but it does appear consistently across people's subjective reports that when you have a peak experience, and it doesn't really matter what door you go in through. It could be meditation, it could be smart technologies, it could be float tanks, it could be sexuality, it could be pharmacology, including the class of psychedelics that you guys work in. When you have a peak experience, it seems to pop you up above the clouds, the fog of everyday living. And we often have two things happen. One is we feel ourselves at full strength. We feel ourselves standing, not stooped. And that can often be profound. And that can often lead to access to more information as well. If we're sort of constantly kind of distracted and tunnel visioned down in our day-to-day life, up on the high ground, up on the mountaintop, we can often see more. And that can be the state of the world, the nature of things that are, problems we're working on personally or professionally. And quite often, and this is a metaphor, I don't presume this is actually the case, but it feels like, as if we accept the metaphor of in those peak states, light is flowing through us. It's almost like an electrician with a diagnostic, meter, and we get to see all the places the light doesn't actually flow into. We see our holes. We see where our wires are crimped. We see where our fuses are blown. And that information feels like it's sort of our homework. So you sort of get a list on the mountain. Is the great experiment or comment from Suzuki Roshi, the Zen master, was, he said, you're perfect exactly as you are, and you could use a little work. And so the peak experience reminds us of our perfection. Thank God I'm not just banged up, broken, worthless, guilt-ridden, throwaway. I actually have that capacity in me. And here's the laundry list. Here's the blown fuses and the crimped wires. And it feels like if we combine those two things, if we go back and do our homework, then we're rewarded at the next level of the game. The next time we go to the high ground, then we get to the next level of the infinite game. We're so, like the bonus round, we get extra shields, extra weapons, cool toys, shoes that fly, all kinds of things, if we bypass our homework. So if we neglect to mend and integrate that which we've been shown, and we try and go back and ring the bell again prematurely, I think there's even a term for it in psychedelic culture. They have some of their online wikis and sort of like terminologies, and it's called the hyperslap. And the hyperslap, particularly for aficionados of dimethyltryptamine, is when you go back too soon and you get stuck in the corner, or you try and go through, what they might call the gate to hyperspace, and you just face against the window like a bird that didn't see the screen door. And so it feels to me like there is a direct and reciprocal relationship between the view from the top and the work in the trenches. And if we can balance those, then we have the chance to really develop into a fully expressed version of ourselves.